Do you ever get asked that question? So what do you do? We're going to talk about it on today's podcast.
I've spent the last 20 years studying, teaching, and coaching people to find their greatness and take their lives to the next level. Along the way, it's become evident that emotions are at the root of everybody's successes and failures. Worry and fear are the enemies, and it's time to forge the armor and earn the tools to overcome the two things that could single-handedly destroy your future. Hi, my name is Michael Johnson, and I'm a life coach, a peak performance trainer, and I'm the emotions guy. It's time to take back control of how you feel, control of how you act, and control of how you experience life. It's time to become a lifer, a new breed of overachiever focused on living every minute to its fullest. We are responsible for how we feel, and no one and no thing can make us feel anything. Emotional mastery is our journey, and emotional education and intelligence is the key. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life.
What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with the Magic for Life podcast. I'm so glad you joined me today because we're going to talk about that question. If you're an entrepreneur, if you've been in business for any period of time, or even if you're just in business working at a company, maybe you're an executive in a company or something that is out there and it's hard to describe. Do you ever get that question? So what do you do? And you're like, well, I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. No, I'm just kidding. I think that's like a James Bond thing, right? But here's the thing. What do you do is an important question. So I'd like you to answer in your head right now. I'd love you to take just a second, just a moment to dive into what you do. And I'm not talking necessarily about your job title, because sometimes your job title is okay. And when you can actually get your job title to be descriptive of what it is that you do, that's really cool, right? Because it's like a little mini elevator pitch that really describes what it is that you do. And the more you dig in, the more you'll figure out kind of what that superpower is that you have. And you know, I'm all about helping you find your superpower. And so if we can chat about that for a second, if you can dig into that thing that you do, we're not talking necessarily your job title, but maybe your job description, which is kind of a title and kind of a job description. This really helps get clarity. And for you, whether you're working for somebody or whether you have your own business right now and you're building it, or you're running process in it, or whatever it is that you're doing with your business right now, knowing what it is that you do really helps you become congruent, helps you get in line, helps everything and all the pieces get in line. And it also helps you grow. Now that's a funny thing to say, right? Like, how does it help you grow? Because as you define what it is you do, you start to do that for a little while and you go, yeah, that's what I do. But I also do this. And then you kind of redefine what it is that you do, and you do that for a while. And then that helps you redefine. And it continues to help you redefine so that you can hone into what it is that you do. And I bet anything that you do a lot of things. I bet that you do a lot of things. Really, if you think about it, you probably have a lot of roles. And if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're a solopreneur, then you have played all the roles. You have worn all the hats. And so you have to evolve. You have to take yourself from being the entrepreneur to being the marketer to being the CEO that runs process. And you might have to do and switch and flip-flop from each of those things. And that's cool, right? That's exactly the game that we're in, right? But being able to kind of define what it is that you do quickly is great. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of progression of what I do. Right. And obviously I started off in a different career path, right? I went down the route of being a professional athlete, a professional dancer, and did all of the things to go through that and own a business and run a business and all that kind of stuff while I was a professional dancer. Plus I was a coach and I was a mentor. And, so I did a lot of those different things. But if we just talk about like even Magic for Life as a general whole, it started off as me just doing one-on-one life coaching. And so for a long time, I was a life coach. And I was like, yeah, I'm a life coach. And that's great. And that kind of evolved. And I was like, wow, I'm a mentor and I'm a life coach. And then it was like, well, that kind of evolved, and realized that as I worked with more and more people to help them find their peak, then it was like, well, I'm also a peak performance coach, because I help people find their peak and be able to perform at their peak. And that's huge, right? Because for me, that was a big thing. And then I realized, well, gosh, I'm a bit of a soul guide, because I help people find that thing that's calling their soul and help guide them through. And so now I'm a life coach, and I'm a peak performance coach, and I'm a soul guide, right? So these are things that I've developed through the years as I've defined what it is that I do, right? And as that's evolved, and I've continued to work with businesses and business owners and entrepreneurs specifically, then I've kind of tweaked it and gone through this idea. And what it's sort of evolved to is I'm all those things, because you're never going to not be those things, right? And I have all of those skill sets. But I'm also a business mindset consultant, right? Because I love the business side of it. And there's so many cool options. And taking your superpower and fitting it into your business is a big deal. But understanding the business side of it and the marketing side of it is also massively important. But fitting those two puzzle pieces together are great. But the mindset element of being able to run all of those pieces is huge. And so I'm a business mindset consultant, because I can do the life coaching, I can do the soul guide stuff, I can help you with the mindset. And so being able to say, hey, that is now one of the things that I can say I do. I'm a business mindset consultant. So as I've done that, I hope that, or as I've talked to you about that, I hope that's kind of brought in some ideas for you of what you do. What do you do? See, if you have a product to sell, that's not what you do. You do something, and the product does something, but what do you do? So I'd like you to think about that, and I'd like you to really amplify that, because within that is your superpowers trying to get out. It's the guts of what you're excited about and the things that you like to do trying to get out of you. And that's what we want to try to cultivate. We want to try to cultivate the energy and the love and the purpose that comes from this personal legend that is calling you, right? Quick shout out to Paulo Coelho, right? You got to read The Alchemist. If you haven't read it, you don't know what you're missing out on, right? But go read that, and if you have read it, you know what I'm talking about, your personal legend, right? And may very well be that your personal legend has called, and maybe you've missed the call a couple times, and maybe you've gone blind to it. But as you start to figure out, like, what do I do? Wow. I do a lot of things. Like we've asked a lot of our clients and said, well, what do you think Michael does the best, right? And there's lots of different interesting answers. And I go, oh, yeah, I do that. Oh yeah, I do that. And you've probably had this experience too, just like that. You've probably had this experience where other people have told you, hey, you're really good at that. Like, can you help me with this? And that's really cool, right? You take that and put it into your toolbox of things that you do, and you go, oh yeah, that's a piece of what I do. But so many times you look at something that somebody else tells you and they go, oh, you're really good at that. And you go, huh, I didn't realize I was good at that. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess I do that. But it's really part of this, and it's really does that, and it really has this thing to it. And so as you develop that, you continue to pull out your superpowers. And sometimes it helps to have other people give you feedback and let you know what they are like. Oh, I love this. This is really valuable. You've provided this great service or this great knowledge to me about this thing. And so sometimes it helps to ask people that you've worked with, like, hey, what do you think I've helped you with the most? And they go, oh, that's easy. You do this. And so it's really helpful. So I encourage you to ask. Now, that doesn't mean it's the end all. It doesn't mean that if somebody says, oh, you do this, it doesn't mean that you don't do anything else. It's just one of those components, because sometimes when you're in it, it's so hard to see. It's so challenging to understand what it is that you do well, that sometimes it helps to spark and get the juices flowing, and it helps you to think about you. Because I know, in society, it oftentimes is maybe frowned upon to, kind of look at what you're good at. I'm good at this thing. But you know what? When you're good at something, you're like, you know what? It's a service. It's something I can do for other people. And if you love to do it, then it's not conceited at all. When you love to do something, I know how to build that thing. I've built it before. Let me help you. And you're like, oh, let's do that. And you say it in such a way, and you're passionate about it in such a way that you aren't looked at as conceited or self-serving. You're just looking at it going, oh, I'm good at this. Let me help you. Right. And so it's important for you to start to delve into that and find that. And so even if you're one of the newer entrepreneurs that has found your way to the show and you're just getting going, like, even if you're building a product, or if you've just started a funnel, or if you're just getting into the game of solopreneur and entrepreneur, even if you're in that phase, start to think about what it is you do, not just the product you're selling, or not just the service that you're going to deliver, but what you do. Because what you do is going to influence that service, and what you do isn't just the service. You probably are much more than that. Your superpower is probably much more than that. So I hope that helps. I'd love to hear what you do. I would love to hear what you do. So I am asking you right now, what do you do? What do you do? I'd love to hear. Send me an email at info@magicforlife, or just comment in the comments below if you're on YouTube. Or if you love this episode, please give us a rating in iTunes and leave a comment and let everybody know that you love the episode. And as usual, let us know you saw the episode. #MagicForLife. Take a screenshot and put it on Instagram. We'd love to see that you're watching. Anyway, we love you so much. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to keep finding that magic for your life. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey lifers, we expect upgrades to the base operating functions of the things like our phones, cars, and even refrigerators. Why then has it not been made a priority that we upgrade the operating systems of our emotional states? We dance around the subject of emotional mastery from a young age. We have so much more knowledge in today's world, yet we're still teaching outdated methods of emotional education, if any are being taught at all. It's time for a change. It's time for an upgrade to our emotional education. Let me help you learn how to do that. Pick up your free copy of Every Minute at everyminutebook.com.